food for your subtle body. It's very important to understand when we talk about food for our subtle body, that we don't think of it in terms of what is right and what is wrong. It's not a system that looks at the vitamins, the minerals. It doesn't isolate. Basically, the best way, and we practice this at the beginning of the course, the best way to know what the right food for a subtle body is, enter the supermarket and just take a look, a look that you usually never take, and look for those elements that you see that are the most alive, that contain the greatest degree of life force. That's it. When you go to a forest and you look at trees, it's obvious that they are vibrant, right? You can feel it. So when you enter a supermarket, try that once. And try to erase this sort of, brown rice is good for you because it's whole grain and it contains this and it contains enough B complex. And this is not the way of the life force. Now, what would happen if you entered in this way to the supermarket? What would be, try to imagine. What would you find? Where would you go first? Don't look at the list. Okay? Where?
To the fruits and vegetables. The open fruits and...
To the fruits and vegetables. Right. Why?
Because they are a whole and they come from trees and they're just picked and
Yes.
And they are so colorful.
Yeah.
They are colorful. Right. Yes, they're not in plastic bags. They're not processed. They are so immediate. They carry with them the immediate transmission of the intelligence of Mother Earth. What could be better, right? The fruits and vegetables, they don't recognize themselves as rich with vitamin C, rich with magnesium. They are a complex creation. They come as wholeness. And this wholeness speaks to the wholeness of our body. So, fruits and vegetables, yes. Anyone objects? Who would go to the ice cream area as the first source of life force, not a source of, compensation, emotional compensation, and the feeling that you get to be like a small child licking an ice cream and feeling good. Chocolate? You will go to chocolate. Okay. Okay, interesting. Could be, to a certain degree. But if I asked you...
High percentage.
So, yes, but if I asked you, where would you, if you got stuck on a deserted island, would you live on chocolate or on fruits and vegetables?
The second.
So chocolate can be in small quantity, right? And this is true, by the way, that for example, that cacao is a very powerful superfood. But this is not the first manifestation of life force on Earth. So, as Nir said, plant-based is when we say plant-based, it means that any life force diet contains in its larger part vegetables and fruits, and all this list, a variety of fruits, not juices, not fruit juices, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, beans, whole grains. And by the way, it's in terms of life force, it's in the following order: vegetables, nuts and seeds, fruits, legumes, beans, and grains. Grains are, unfortunately, at the end. Vegetables are probably the most majestic expression of nature's intelligence as food. So this should be the center, the core of our diet. Everything else is additions, including if you choose to eat some meat, to eat some fish. The percentage should be like that your core diet is plant-based, and everything else is additions. You don't have to go vegetarian or vegan completely to support your life force or to be fully healthy. Okay? This is already a different question, which is the question of compassion and so on. But this has nothing to do with what we talk about. Blenderized. To put fruits and vegetables in the blender is actually a technique that makes us obtain much more of the power of the vegetables and the fruits. So most of us don't choose well enough to be able to consume all the goodness of fruits and vegetables, and that is why blenderized is a very good method. Top vegetables and fruits are greens, all the variety of greens that everyone knows, right? Broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, avocados, and berries. Berries of all imaginable kinds are extraordinary in life force. Usually for life force support, it is recommended to remain as dairy free as possible because of the way this creates a decrease of life force activity and little animal protein, of course, if necessary. As we said, the supermarket test is mostly raw. Mostly raw because when it comes like that, it is in its natural state of life force, right? It is still alive. Of course, the most alive state is to pick an apple from the tree. This is supreme. But since we don't do that, mostly raw, this means that if we slowly build our way towards something like 70 to 80% raw food on a daily basis, that is almost a guarantee to live in a illness-free state, but also in a Kundalini enhancing type of diet. Because basically you feed the chakras all the time with life force, not only from the air and sunlight and pranayama and yoga and so on, but also from the life force contained in our food, which is what we unite with the most on a daily basis, right? Just think of it. You become what you eat. That is a cliche. But if you become what you eat, what do you want to become? So you want to become a tomato. Yes. I want to be a tomato. I will try to be quicker, so I will say that very shortly. Organic is the best, GMO-free, like not genetically modified foods. We want it as close to nature as possible, and fresh as possible, and unprocessed as possible. If you don't, you can't tell what you're looking at in the supermarket This means it's not that you can't and you must not eat it, but just in smaller quantities. Lightly cooked, steamed, low temperature are the best ways to cook our food and to retain somehow its measure of life force. Okay? Baking, frying, microwaving, or grilling are ways that basically destroy the food. We get dead food. The scientific parallel to that is probably this, how to say, carcinogenic elements that the food emits as soon as it goes through these processes. But we're talking from this perspective, that the food needs to retain its water and the intelligence in it, and to come again as close as possible to its original state. Sugar-free, we don't mean fruits-free, but any type of sugar as an isolated phenomena, including all the so-called good sugars that we have, they don't really support. We also don't really need them. Low glycemic index means consuming fruits and vegetables, more fruits and vegetables that have a low glycemic level, little salt, but without explaining that, wheat-free as much as possible, and without all the baked goods and everything that all the breads and so on, they are not very happy event to our subtle anatomy. Without processed oils, meaning to try as much as possible to use coconut oil cold pressed, to use olive oil cold pressed, to use avocado oil cold pressed, flaxseed oil cold pressed. Anything that can be cold pressed is good, because again, it is far less industrialized. Eat less. 18 is something that I have to explain. Eat less is probably one of the most important commands for Kundalini and life force support. When you eat less, you remain light. When you remain light, you are alert. You never get dull, and because you maintain a certain tension in your digestive system. The whole energy doesn't move to the digestive system at the expense of your brain. Okay? So try to reach this point in which you know to identify when you're going to be full, and don't enter it. Now, this sometimes goes against our survival instinct, because we feel that we have to feel full. Full is security. It's the feeling that because who knows when our next meal will come. That's very primitive. We know that our next food will come. So when we begin to practice this, eventually we lose the experience of hunger in general. This whole alarm signal in the body of hunger, of lack, is replaced with a very relaxed system that can actually go on less and less food for longer periods. This is, by the way, by far the one common trait of all the people that live longer, like above 100 years old, and so on, because researchers try to find what's common to all those people, and someone may be vegetarian, someone may eat meat, someone may be more judgmental, someone more optimistic. but all of them usually say that they eat little. You are starting, I think, to understand the principle, what we're looking for. No canned foods in plastic. Superfoods in moderation. There are many types of superfoods nowadays. You know, there is maca, and there is raw cacao, and there is goji berry, and hemp seeds, and there is a long list. They are good, but if you take this path, you don't really need so much superfoods, because you don't need this concentration of nutrients if you eat in this way, and you don't need strong enhancement that is unnatural. Food combination. The best way is when you still eat some cooked foods is to start with salad, with something raw, or with some blenderized vegetables, because if you take something raw before that, your body actually receives much more easily the cooked food. Fruits, try to eat as much as possible separate, or only with nuts and seeds, because they are anyway digested so quickly and easily that we want to keep it that way. Food are great enhancers of life force. Nuts and seeds separate from grains and beans. These are just instructions that maintain our lightness. The easiest our digestion goes, the lighter we remain. Don't eat at night, as much as possible, of course. Try to go to sleep light. Okay? Limited amount of alcohol and coffee. You don't need to abstain from these things. Just not to go crazy. And anyway, if you are following this, you will not need so much coffee to keep yourself alive and awake. Purified water, no, not in plastic bottles, and to remain hydrated. Fasting from time to time is one of the strongest practices for life force enhancement. It allows the body to relax from and to shift from the digestive system and to move its attention to the higher chakras.